What's up, guys? Cameron here from Drums and Drams, and today I'm going to reveal my number 2 whiskey of 2023. If you've been following along with this process, I want to say thank you. We've gotten a lot of new subscribers throughout this unveiling of my top whiskeys of 2023, so I just want to say thank you. And if you do want to watch this series in order, stop the video, check out the description below. I will link numbers 5, 4, and 3 so that you can watch those in order, then come back to this number 2. And of course, tomorrow I will unveil my top whiskey of 2023. But today we are on number 2. This is going to be an interesting one. I'm telling you right now, before we get into it, this is going to be an interesting one. I'm going to do it the same way that I've done all the others. I'm going to nose it, taste it, talk about it very quickly. You can, look around on the table. These are the bottles I've whittled down for my top 5 to choose from. Think about what I might be talking about before I do that reveal at the end. And of course, the same disclaimer applies here as it has on all the other videos. This is only my top 5 list. I'm including some things that might be slightly controversial, might be a strong word, but things that people have opinions about, whether it's single barrels or this or that other reviewers might not. But look, I'm just one guy on YouTube drinking whiskey, so take everything with a grain of salt, as you should for any of these lists. So now let's get on to business here. This is what we got in the glass. Number 2 of the year, and there's a little surprise coming, but let's just nose and taste this one first. I'll give you some notes, and then we'll go from there. So here we go. All right, first and foremost on the nose, this whiskey is all dark fruit. That's the standout. It's earthy. It's dark fruit. There's a little bit of this perfumey floral element going on in the glass too, but by and large, you're getting tons of flavor concentration, a nice proof out of the glass. This thing is jumping out of the glass. And the star of the show would be those dark fruit notes. And what I mean more specifically, I'll kind of give you a range, I guess, an idea. Grape, blackberry, plum, date, fig. We're really, really on the darker end of the fruit spectrum, I guess. It's a great nose. And for those of you who like dark whiskeys, like intense whiskeys, this is certainly going to be up your alley. All right, so last thing I'm going to talk about here on the nose before we taste this whiskey is just a little bit of this vanilla. So it's showing some age here. A little bit of this floral note, which I already talked about, but it's actually, it's floral, but it's also a little herbal. So you're definitely sensing that there's a good amount of rye spice, a good amount of rye coming out of the glass. The age of the whiskey shows there is oak, but the oak is not funky Kentucky type oak that you would get from like a Heaven Hill or a Jim Beam. It's sweet oak that intermingles very nicely with those dark fruit notes that I talked about, almost to the point where you can't really distinguish between them so much. So let's check it out on the palate now. Cheers. Oh, God. Right away, I mean, this thing grips you so fast. And it's grape bubblegum, big league chew right off the bat. And as it starts to develop on the palate, it kind of transitions into more of this spicy character. So at the very front of the palate, sometimes you would expect a big punch of spice. This is all sweet on the front of the palate, candy sweet and fresh fruit sweet. It's not dark, it's not drying at all. Transitions into this big spicy mid palate, which is keeping it going right now through a very, very long finish. A great experience. And I love the fact that you get the sweetness up front, which again is maybe a little less common for something like this. Anyways, let's do one more sip now. Wow. Wow. I'm going to call one note on here that I called on the Remus Gatsby Reserve. And these things are certainly related. You will find out on the reveal. But there's a note on the Remus Gatsby Reserve Batch 2, the 98.1 proof. If you haven't checked that out, I'll drop a link card up here. It's fresh fall leaves, like fall leaves that have just fallen onto the ground, right? And for me, we got big trees out back in this kind of alleyway behind our house. And whenever I'm walking out to take the trash out, I know this is really specific, I'm always walking over these fall leaves. This was about a month or two ago at this point, and there's this smell that you get. And when I recorded the Remus Gatsby Reserve review, which is 15-year MGP, that was like very fresh in my mind, that smell. And so that's what the whiskey reminded me of, and that's what this whiskey also has. And you can probably guess why that is There's only one bottle on this table that would be so closely related to a Gatsby Reserve 15-year MGP product, and that is this Rebecca Creek 16-year, which is 16-year MGP bottled at cask strength. These are all different proofs. These are single barrels, all different proofs. I'm not sure exactly how many barrels were released, but it was quite a number of them because there was no shortage of these kind of floating around secondary market and other places. Proofs ranging from like 100, maybe even sub 100 to I've seen as high as maybe 130.7. This in particular is 127.7. It's barrel number 21. And this is my second bottle of it. My first was gifted by Keith Thompson. Thank you, Keith. And this second one I picked up on my own because I had to have another. It's that good. It fits my criteria, not only of immense flavor concentration, but also just drinkability. Like, I cannot stop drinking this. I've said this on so many of these videos at this point, but this is one of my favorites, obviously getting number 2 of the year. But a new challenger emerged, and I'm going to talk about this. So actually, for my number 2, we're going to have a 2-way tie. And some people may or may not be happy about that, but a new challenger recently emerged, and that is this Rare Character Exceptional Series 15-year, 4-month Kentucky straight malt whiskey. And this is going to tie my Rebecca Creek 16 at 127.7 proof. This Rare Character is coming in at 138.2 proof. And let me tell you why I am including this. Much earlier in 2023, when these things were first dropping, you were starting to hear these whispers of this old malt whiskey, this old Kentucky malt whiskey that had been sourced. Many people say it's from Heaven Hill. I would definitely believe that. And I ended up with a sample or two of some 14-year barrels. It was some of the best whiskey that I could, at that point, that I had tasted throughout the year. But unfortunately, I ran out of those samples and I never got my hands on a bottle. This bottle showed up yesterday, and it threw a big old wrench in this process, which every night this week, I've been recording these videos each day. I did not batch all of these at one time. So every day I'm recording this, and I'm releasing these videos 30 to 60 minutes after I record them, because it's in real time. And this bottle came in. I didn't know if it was going to arrive in time for me to taste it for this year, and maybe I shouldn't have included it, but the thing is, these were released in 2023 by and large. They are still trickling out, but a lot of these older ones came out in 2023, and it felt like it was only fair. This would have earned a spot in my preliminary big tasting video that I did on the live stream and all that stuff. I have to include it. So let me nose it and taste it and tell you why this whiskey ties this Rebecca Creek 16, which this Rebecca Creek 16 beat George T. Stagg 2023 handily. It was not even a close competition in my mind. This is so good, and it even has a similar profile, but it's just maxed out and better than the George T. Stagg 2023. This Rare Character is right there with it, so let's nose it very quickly. Oh my God, it's so sweet, but dark and malty. I would say, here are some descriptors. Malty coffee cake. Malty coffee cake. Fruit, mixed berry compote. Let's go with that. Mixed berry compote, malty coffee cake, vanilla icing. Oh, and then this kind of, what would be that note? Nutmeg. A big dose of nutmeg on the nose as well. So you do smell the malt component in here. But if you didn't know that this was a malt whiskey, it could be mistaken for Heaven Hill 17. I do believe that. It could be mistaken for other highly aged Heaven Hill products that are well beyond Elijah Craig barrel proof in quality and in proof in this case. This is 138.2. This is at the upper end of the proof spectrum. Again, 15 years, 4 months. And in particular, this is the Cork and Keg single barrel selection. I have some others on the way from Seal Box, a 13.5 year or so, but this 15 year, 4 month, outstanding. Let's go to the palate now. Wow. This is so gripping on the palate, so dark. The palate, in addition to those coffee cake notes, this chocolate maltiness, in addition to all of that, big nutmeg, you do get actually this kind of lemon lemon, I would say like a lemon cake. If you've ever had those real, I hate to use the word moist in a review, but those Starbucks lemon cakes or lemon bars, whatever they are, but they are moist. This has that kind of lemon zest, that tang to it as well, which is crazy because there's no rye. And we typically find those lemon notes coming to us from high rye content whiskeys. Outstanding stuff. Drinks under its 138 proof, but has a finish that is to die for. A longer finish than the Rebecca Creek, which is probably to be expected. Both outstanding. It is a tie for second. I know, is this a cop-out? I'm not sure, but I had to include it because I really wished throughout that preliminary tasting I would have had a sample of this rare character, any of these 14 to 15-year single barrels to put in the mix. Here we go. A dark horse emerges in the competition, but that's okay. This did not change my top whiskey of the year, and you will find out what that is tomorrow. So thank you so much for tuning in. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're enjoying this series, and let me know what you think about this tie. Have you tried either one of these? And also, I know they're both single barrels, but I'm going to use the same excuse that I used for the Michter's 10 in third place. Spoiler alert. The releases were big enough. You're seeing enough of these floating around that I don't think it's out of the question that these get included in a competition like this. My little homemade version of this competition, that is. And, you know, I think the consistency between the barrels of each release, having tasted a few of them, is enough to where I can include them and feel good about it. The only caveat to this is that I would look for the higher proof Rebecca Creek 16s. Those tend to be a little bit better than the lower proofs. That's going to do it, guys. Cheers. We're going to wrap it up with the dark horse of the competition, literally and figuratively, this Rare Character Exceptional Series 15-year 4 months. Cheers, and I will see you tomorrow for my #1 whiskey of 2023.